Yeah, just want to give you a general idea of the tools that we're working at or with, and that is the Eurofighter. The Eurofighter is an aircraft produced by 4 countries: Great Britain, Germany, Spain and Italy in unison. It's also sold in other countries all over the world, but we designed this aircraft together and are using it for air policing missions and for other missions as well. As you can see, if you look up there, it's a single seat aircraft, so there's one pilot in there and a lot of computers helping the pilot out, doing his job and doing his work. The aircraft in itself is very lightweight. You can see it's fairly big, but only weighs only 11 tons if it's completely empty. It's made out of carbon fiber, of titanium and aluminum, so it's very lightweight. That helps us with doing, for example, what we saw before, these kind of takeoffs. We have big engines in the back, made in Germany by the way, that produce about 60,000 horsepower. So 60,000 horsepower from those engines, meaning we have more power than the aircraft weighs. That means after takeoff we can actually climb and accelerate up on the way up, and that gives us the possibility, if an aircraft would be on top of there in a regular altitude of 10 kilometers, we could be there in 50 seconds. So that is why the aircraft is really made for this air policing mission, because we can get everywhere in a very short time. We can fly up to 2,500 kilometers an hour, so 2.5 times the speed of sound. So from here on Lielvārdes we can be in Tallinn, or above in Estonia in 6 to 8 minutes. So if it's really desired and if it's needed necessary. And the mission here, of course, we can fly the aircraft, but it's a fighter aircraft, so we are also armed. We have a couple of missiles and gun with us, just in case it is called for. We have 2 different kind of missiles here with us. First of all, the bigger one, the so-called AMRAAM. It's an American product and it's a radar-seeking missile. That means the missile looks for a radar signal, so something metal flying around, and we have a radar in front of our aircraft looking at the sky, looking out 150 kilometers and more, and seeing other aircraft. And when we see somebody, and if it would be the case that we get the clearance or we are asked for to shoot it, we could shoot that missile in that direction. It will be supported by the radar. At a certain time the missile will take over and fly to that aircraft by itself. So it's what we call a fire and forget missile. So it flies escorted for a certain amount of time, and then it flies or continues by itself and would impact. The other missile we have there, over there, a little bit smaller, that is the IRIS-T. That is also the missile that Latvia is buying for air defense. It could be launched from the ground. We of course carry it on the aircraft. It is a heat-seeking missile. That means it has an eye in front of the aircraft that is looking for temperature. And why temperature? Because those engines with the 60,000 horsepower are getting very hot. At the end of the aircraft can be hot up to 700 degrees of temperature Celsius. And so this missile is looking at heat and says, this looks good, this must be an aircraft, and will fly to that aircraft and cripple it or destroy it if it is necessary. And as a last line of defense, we also have a gun. The ammunition is down here on the ground, 28 millimeters. It's like a machine gun, shoots 1,600 rounds per minute, so it goes really quick. Yeah, you say, why would a modern aircraft need a gun? The thing is, for all those missiles, there are anti-protection systems. So for a radar missile, you could shoot out what we call chaff, a bundle of small metal pieces flying out of the sky, building a cloud and looking like an aircraft. So there's all small particles of aluminum and stannol flying out the sky, building a cloud. And for a missile, it looks like a perfect aircraft. So the missile would not fly to our aircraft, would fly to the cloud. For the IRIS-T, for the heat, we can drop out what we call a flare. aluminum burning very hot, about 1000 degrees, and that looks nicer for the missile than the jet engine because it's hotter, and the missile would fly there. For a gun, just bullets flying out, there's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do is go out of the way, meaning maneuver the aircraft better than the other pilot is doing it. And so that is why still a modern aircraft like this has a gun as a last measurement or last line of defense. And as you can see it here, we fly this mission up here, the air policing, with 2 of those missiles and 2 of the other missiles plus the gun. But we also have this chaff and this flare as self-protection with us. So in case a Russian aircraft would come for a certain idea and wants to shoot at us, we can also protect ourselves. We have also what you cannot really see. Out on the sides of the aircraft, these big small, these tanks at the tip of the aircraft, there are electronic devices in there that send out electronic signals if we have to, and we can fool another radar and tell them, okay, there's another aircraft, there's 2 aircraft, we are flying much faster than you think we're doing, so you can do a certain amount of things, so the radar from the others does not see us as I would or as I need to shoot a missile. So this is a general idea about the Eurofighter, and I can tell you more, and if you got 3 or 4 hours I can continue talking all the time. Valuable? A Eurofighter, if you want to buy it in a stock market, which you can't, but you will probably have to pay 100 million. So, and that is why Latvia does not buy Eurofighters, because if you want to run the QAA like we do with 4 aircraft plus another spare aircraft, you're talking about a lot amount of money, and yeah, it's just not possible to buy it just right away. So yeah, they're expensive, but they can do the job. That's what they're designed for. And they can do other jobs as well. The aircraft is also capable of dropping bombs and whatever, but this is not part of this mission, and we don't even have bombs with us here because, yeah, that's not a job to do. But the aircraft is multiple purpose usable. We can carry more weapons if we have to, but for this mission it's not really required. You can carry 8 of those missiles plus 4 bombs, excuse me. We also have these underwing tanks, so these are not bombs, these are tanks. One of those tanks is 1000 liters of fuel in there. It's good for about 20 minutes of flying in this tank, 20 minutes on the other tank. A lot of fuel inside the aircraft. We fly with about 7 tons of fuel when we fly here. That gives us endurance from about 2.5 hours of flying. And we can fly longer if we have a tanker. We can also air-to-air refuel, get fuel from another aircraft. But regular up here, because the Baltics are not that big, we don't need a tanker up here. But it's possible, and sometimes we train to do that as well.
What is the maximum speed in kilometers per hour?
Yeah, it's almost 2,500 kilometers an hour, so 2.5 times the speed of sound. And that is good to have, especially if we want to shoot a missile, because the missile shoots at a greater distance if it gets higher speed. The missile, when it starts from the aircraft, it will accelerate up to about 3 times the speed of sound. But if our aircraft already has 2 times the speed of sound, the missile can then accelerate up to 5 times the speed of sound, because the starting speed plus the speed from the missile itself, that makes it a longer range distance. So if I'm flying faster than my opponent and we both shoot at the same time, my missile will impact first and then I can go home, and he cannot. That's why speed is important.